Hello everybody, let's have a look at Matic then, shall we? And we'll try and work out why it's not doing anything, alright? So, like those on this channel and my Telegram group, there's one thing that kind of always brought us together, which is our love for Matic, or should I just say trading Matic? I couldn't really care less about the project itself. But, in all fairness, it has underperformed in amongst all these crazy small cap altcoins that have been going bonkers and bananas. I've got a couple of theories, okay? So, I mean, first of all, from that bottom of that drop to the top of where it came recently, it was still 326%. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's not anywhere near as much as some of these. I'd probably even go as far as to say the majority of these coins that Matic was once in the same boat as. Matic's chart on the daily has golden crosses, both on. We've got tether on both of these here, haven't we? We need to get onto. That's not the right. If only it was 13%. And I imagine we'll have a golden cross here on Bitcoin. I've not looked at this in a while. Yeah, I mean, technically the chart, fundamental basics of what you'd look at is should have caused some continuation of at least this. So my first theory about what's going on with Matic is it's moved from a very small cap, sort of obscure small cap coin, to moving its way up into areas where it shouldn't have got that far that quick. Alright, so it's got a lot of attention from a lot of, I suppose, armchair traders like myself and many others, and then they poured leverage onto it way too early, so it became it basically is kind of a broken system. It's not found its way. It's not been allowed to even begin a cycle, a true cycle that would be. Or if you could argue that its cycles are simply going to be pump and dump, like Dogecoin basically, you could argue that that would be its cycle. But where would that be? How can we tell where the next one's going to be? So I think it's in this weird middle ground area where it's not top cap, it's not low cap, it's kind of medium cap. And when you get to a stage like that, you generally don't pump massive amounts anymore. You don't do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 X's like you used to do when you're a small cap coin, especially without the ability to be shorted against. So it's still a small cap coin, let's face it, but the fact that you can short against it has kept it from doing anything impressive. Now, first of all, when it launched, onto Binance platform, it went crazy, and although that would have been great for anyone trading it, it was not too bad for me. Things shouldn't really look like that. So basically it cooled off from that, and then we did it all over again, and then we dumped massively. It's taken a lot of faith out of people wanting to go into this. Now I think you're going to see this sort of thing happen a lot more, the way that leverage is being added to some of these other small cap coins. I was kind of disappointed to see that they'd added it to Harmony 1 just today, because that, in my book, that was a nice looking chart, to be honest with you, and a coin I would be very happy to trade with, but I'm a little bit more skeptical about it now that they've added that to the mix. It's a little scarier now that I know that people can short against it, and it is a small cap coin. That coin is smaller cap than Matic, so I think we're probably going to start to see some damage being caused to that coin. But anyway, let's have a look more. We'll focus more on Matic. So my first point is that it's moved into a strange no man's land area, where it's a small cap coin that's moved up the ranks too fast, and the chart essentially looks broken. This is a real messy chart. There's no progression on this chart whatsoever. And just to put it into context, you look at coins like Ethereum, obviously the big top cap coins are talking about Ethereum, talking about Bitcoin, talking about XRP. You don't see them doing any more than a 3x from the bottom from where it dropped recently. That's where they are. So and they're they're the big players. Do you know what I mean? You don't see that going on with those kind of coins, but you do see it with the small cap coins. But you don't see it with this one because it's moved out of that small cap and moved into a weird area. And also, like I say, you've got all that leverage that you can use against it, so pushing the price down and essentially breaking it. The other thing that I've found has been a bit of a problem for Matic is that and all sort of coins sort of are guilty of this. All projects are guilty of it. Is that they basically make announcements of announcements to basically pump it. And if you were to look at a coin, I'll tell you who does this a lot. If you look at Tron, I'll bring up the Tron chart because we're not going to look at this. Not going to look at this here. So we'll look at Tron. On Tether, we'll look at it at, and we'll look at the state of this chart. Now, Tron's been around for a lot longer, and it is a top cap coin, but it's all over the place, all right? Because Justin Sun likes to do those kind of things. There'll be announcements of things. There'll be competitions, and there'll be this, that, and the other partnerships, blah 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 blah, all kinds of stuff. And people trade on those, so it's not the way a chart should look. It shouldn't look as messy and spiky as something like this. This is not how it should look. Arguably, the Matic chart looks a hell of a lot worse than that. So, what I'm saying is, with it being held in such high regard, there's a lot of people focusing on Matic right all the time, waiting for silly announcements that may not ever come. So everyone's expecting it to go onto Coinbase now. It probably will go into Coinbase one day, but every little tiny announcement of an announcement, that's where everyone goes crazy and starts buying into it. And a chart like this isn't designed to sustain those kind of things. You break it basically. And that's the way I see it, right? We have charts that, like Bitcoin, for instance. You can look at Bitcoin, that chart you can generally make heads or tails of where it's going to go, short term and long term, because there's no governing body making silly announcements here, there, and everywhere. And it's almost I know it's tied into the financial systems now more than it was, so it's trending with traditional markets a lot of the time, and with commodities also, and it's susceptible to movements with the dollar, because it's largely traded that way. So there are external factors other than the chart to bear in mind, but a lot less than there would be with the majority of stocks or forex or commodities in general. So you can look at a chart like Bitcoin and generally get a decent enough idea of where it's going to go short term, mid term, long term. It's one of the more reliable charts to trade, and one of the reasons is because you don't have some geezer making tweets all the time about, I'm gonna, on Friday I'm gonna let you know something, and everyone's thinking, what could that be? We'll buy it now just in case. That's not how to. A lot of people do trade that, but that's not really how a chart should grow. And if you look at the way that Bitcoin moves, it sustains its value, and there's fundamental reasons for that. And with all coins, there should be some fundamental basis to its value. But with Matic, it's a prime example of, Binance released, we'll do margin trading on it now, or there's a trading competition on it now, or we're going to do staking or whatever. All these sort of things get bought into, but then they get dumped into too. So it's becoming more and more of a broken chart. Now that said, I've been trading Matic since it came out really, and I've always shown a vested interest into it as a chart because it's capable in times of hardship. With the rest of the markets not doing so well, it actually can do some crazy things. It was always in the back of my mind, and so the chart itself, even though it's messy and what would appear to be untradeable, there is trades to be had on this, definitely, and that's good. There's a relative predictability of this coin when it comes to supports and resistances and historical highs and lows, and I've got, as you can see on this chart, I've got quite a few things mapped out. But But is it actually gonna do something? Is what we want to know, and when is it gonna do it? Because all these other coins seem to be doing all kinds of things and having sustained growth, and this isn't. So first of all, what I can tell you here is that we do have this uptrending support level which got broken recently, which brings us down to the blue box territory, which is between 18.5 1.85 cent and 2 cent. So this is our area to essentially be hopefully bouncing from. Now we broke down beneath here, and we've been beneath here again just recently, which means that this upwards trend here is a resistance trend. So these are all tangible things that we can hold on to. All right. So we've got a real messy spread of moving averages, which isn't a nice thing to see. We've got a combination of the lower I suppose you could say the higher time frames, from the 200 simple, exponential, 50 to the 10, but they're all sort of mixing around in each other at this level here, which means that we just don't know which way it's going to go. It could go up, it could go down. It doesn't even know itself what it wants to do. We've got what used to be support is now appears to be resistance, but then again we're above resistance supports here of 2 cent, and this area, this whole area is technically support. So what I'm saying is that at the moment, right now, we can't really look at this and say one way or another what it's going to do. We've got support here, we've got resistance there, and between the two of them, we'll just to make it as balanced as possible, we'll do it from the bottom of there. That's a 20% range. That's still a decent range to be sort of buying and selling within, but not at the actual level that we are at right now, also in the middle of a Ichimoku cloud. I think when people sort of look at Matic, what they want to know is when is it going to moon, and there was a way back, even myself, when I saw this, and and the expectations of a bull run, not the bull run that's been going on recently, but an actual bull run, when Bitcoin is making its way above 20,000 and beyond. What we're really looking for is some astronomical figures, and people saying $1 to $4 for Matic. That's a very high gain from where we are right now. That's just, it's not unobtainable, certainly not. But with a chart that looks like this, and it has historical dumps like this, it's beginning to feel a bit more unobtainable. If it were to be released on Coinbase, for instance, then it would add some more power to it, and give it the validation that it kind of needs, because at the moment what it's been used for is scams aren't the right word. It's not a scam, but the way it's been used by Binance, and I'll probably even at this point now say the Matic guys, the project itself, and the way that they choose to promote themselves. I would probably say that it's feeling a little scammy. It's not a scam. I'm not saying it's a scam. It's definitely not a scam. But the chart is not allowed to grow in an organic fashion. What people need to do is stand back and just be quiet. All right, just be quiet. Let the chart grow and do its own thing. See this pump here and this dump? That was during the Matic trading competition. What are you going to get when you have a leverage? A traded asset, you're going to you're incentivizing people to trade it, all right, margin trade it. They're buying it and selling it, longing it and shorting it. It's not for spot traders. It's for the ruthless, finger bashing traders. Do you know what I mean? And they're here clicking their mouses like it's Call of Duty, just buying and selling, long and shorting, just going crazy. And that's basically what happened here. We reached to the all-time, well, not the all-time, but the most important in my book resistance, which is 2.7 cent. That's what I mean. It's a tradable chart, and what we need to do is we need to find our way above 2.7 cent in a nice way, not in a forced fashion, in a nice way. And getting above there and staying above there will see some sustained growth. and if it had that extra weight of Coinbase, I suppose, giving it that, it's a validation is what it needs at the moment, because what you've got here is a broken chart. It's all over the place. It's a real mess, and you know, and you can trade this for a short period of time, you know, but you can't. It's not one to be holding long term unless something significant happens within Matic network. Like I have to probably just say it now, it's going to have to be a Coinbase listing just to give it some validation, because at the moment it feels and looks like a true mess, which has been orchestrated in many ways by Binance. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I will always make videos on this, and I'm always going to try and trade it, because I will never forget the fact that I you know, doubled my money here, I quadrupled my money here. I'm never going to forget that. You know, it allowed me to do that, and when it does it, the volume is high, liquidation. I mean, the liquidity in it is good, but for the moment, you know, it doesn't look good for it. I'm not saying it's going to dump. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying it's going to pump. What I'm saying is that the chart currently is broken. As far as from what I understand, the project is concerned, the fundamental basics of it are all in place now. We've got mainnet. There's a staking implemented. You know, it's available to buy on many exchanges. So there's a lot going for it. But this chart is one of the only things it's the only thing that's holding it back. You can't really trade Matic on its fundamentals anymore, clearly, because a lot of people thought that these things they were going to implement recently, especially with staking, is going to, and I thought it too, should begin to hold its value, but it's not at all. And their staking rewards are very generous, you know, so there should be more incentive to buy it, but there doesn't appear to be any movement on this chart as a result of that. So, like I say, for me personally, I think this is a big underperformer right now, until we get above and stay above 2.7 cent, and then the dream may then come back to reality. But again, you know, we got above 2.7 cent here, didn't we? And we broke down significantly from that. So we'll watch it, and we'll be careful with it. But like I say, it's a strange one. We've got Golden Cross here. We've got a lot going for ourselves. Let's have a look on the smaller time frames. So even the lower time frames, I mean, they're not looking good, obviously, but it's not super bearish or anything. It's okay. But it's just a mess, isn't it? It's just a real mess. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.